So here we are, and welcome to another Nova Sutras, what we call an octal celebration, because we do these 8 times per year at the equinoxes, the solstices, and the cross quarters. And we'll talk a little bit more about why that is and what these cross quarters mean in a bit. We are going to do a guided meditation in the middle. So if you want to take a moment now and make sure that, you know, you've got your phone set on silent or other things that might disturb you during the meditation portion, you might go ahead and shut those down now if you can. So while we settle in, I'll give you some updates about Nova Sutras and talk about, as I said, what these cross quarters mean, and also the Nova Sutras terms Agaya and Ubuntu. So we'll get to know those. Then we'll be calling the corners and going into meditation, and then we'll have some time for conversation and some closing ritual. So that's the general outline for what we're going to do today. I do plan to have this wrapped up no later than 5:30, so we're going to keep to that and make it fit within that. And as we get started here, I'm going to share some slides with you. So let me get that set up. Okay, here we go. So I'm thinking about it, and I think this is probably the 12th one of these that I've done, maybe more. We try to do these as much as possible on the actual moment, and there is a specific moment for each cross quarter, equinox, and solstice. The moment for this cross quarter is actually tomorrow from Pacific time, tomorrow morning at 6:30, 6:40, which was a little bit earlier than I wanted to get started. So I decided it would be better to do it later in the day today. But I am going to also offer just a guided meditation via Insight Timer tomorrow, a little later in the morning, a little bit after the cross quarter. So we've got the whole thing covered. The equinoxes, solstices, and cross quarters are really about where the Earth is in its orbit around the sun. And that's related to the way that the axis of rotation for the Earth is tilted, so that sometimes the North Pole is pointed more toward the sun, sometimes the South Pole is pointed a little bit more toward the sun. Right now, we are in a place where the South Pole is still pointed more toward the sun, but not as extreme as it was at the December solstice. So this is the midwinter point for the Northern Hemisphere, and it's the midsummer point for the Southern Hemisphere. At the December solstice, the sun is directly at what we call the Tropic of Capricorn. That's why it's the sun sign of Capricorn starts on that date. On the equinoxes, the sun is directly overhead at the equator. So where we are right now, the sun is directly overhead, kind of right in the middle. And at this precise moment, it's overhead somewhere very lovely in the South Pacific, probably over Tahiti or the Cook Islands or somewhere like that. I didn't look at the specifics. But it's right about at this very specific latitude, 16 degrees, 20 minutes south, which is right between the Tropic of Capricorn and the equator. So that's why we celebrate the cross quarters at these times. Different traditions move it to the beginning of the month, or February 2nd, also Groundhog Day, was actually a cross-quarter celebration initially. So it's something that we choose to celebrate in Nova Sutras because each of these 8 points of the year has holidays associated with it all around the world, because it is a global phenomenon, because it is something about the whole Earth and where we are in our orbit and our relationship with our sun. So at that precise cross-quarter moment, tomorrow morning, the sun will be directly overhead just off the coast of Brazil, and then it will make its way across the Amazon basin. So another thing that we get to be reminded of as we think about these 8 times of the year are the places in the tropics where the sun is directly overhead. I've had experience working in tropical rainforests. I am in love with them. They are amazing places. And having this reminder of each of these places as the sun passes overhead is a wonderful way to really concentrate some loving energy in those spots. So again, tomorrow morning, when the sun is right at that cross-quarter point, it will be on the edge of the Amazon basin and moving up the Amazon River. Which, as you can imagine, is a really amazing place. So just giving that a little appreciation as we think about that today. But I'm going to start us off with a ritual that we refer to as calling the corners. And we use this as a lead in to meditation, kind of an opening, not just opening sacred space, but opening ourselves to the sacred. Really a way to connect with the beauty and wonder of nature by offering our love and gratitude to other beings. So as we begin, we're going to use these 2 terms that kind of summarize some really important points about our relationship with nature and about the truth of the living world. And these are the words Agaya and Ubuntu. Agaya is a new word from Nova Sutras, and it's acknowledging the truth that life is made out of love. By merging these 2 terms, agape, which is about universal, transcendent, or divine love, and Gaia, which references the earth goddess, but also is used by scientists to talk about the way that life has evolved on this planet as a complex, integrated superorganism that seems to continuously be producing conditions that make even more complex and interconnected life possible. So when we say Agaya, we're celebrating that beauty and that love and that profound creative capacity that is present in all life. This other word, Ubuntu, is a word that comes to us from the languages of Southern Africa. And it's just a really beautiful distillation of another concept that is honestly intrinsic to all of life. It was first used just to talk about the relationships between humans, to talk about our profound interdependence, the way that none of us can survive without others. But this is true not only between humans, but between humans and other species, and between flowering plants and pollinators, between the trees and the microorganisms in the soil that give them access to nutrients. It's true in the way that every animal depends on plants for the oxygen we breathe, and at the root for the plant's ability to capture sunlight and turn it into food. So all around us is evidence of this profound interdependence that is summarized by the word Ubuntu. So when we call the corners, we send out this invitation for well-being on the planet. We'll be doing this when we call the corners, and then it will come up again in our meditation. And we send out wishes that all beings abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. When we call the corners, like many traditions, we actually use this also to orient ourselves, to literally figure out where we are, what's around us. So if you like, think about where the sun is now. And I'm realizing that I didn't do introductions because we were starting a little late. So I'm not sure where you are, Barry.
Right. Oh, I'm here.
You're here. Are you in California?
Oh, in Santa Cruz.
In Santa Cruz, yeah. Okay.
Oh.
I thought that was the case, and I know Lisa's also in California, up in the East Bay. Do you want to?
Moraga, California. So I've got the sun shining in the window.
Yeah. So where we are and the time of year it is right now, the sun is west-southwest. So think of where the sun's been this afternoon, and then just move it a little farther along the path, and you'll get to where the west is. So we're going to start in the west, where the closest cardinal direction that the sun is, and we'll go around north, east, and south, and then up and down. And as we do that, try to envision what you know is in each of those directions. You can't necessarily encompass everything, but think about some things that are out in those directions. Then we'll invite you to, first of all, send that wish to yourself as well, that you abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. And then start moving out in these widening circles that I'll describe. And again, try and envision where that is in relation to you and what's out there. So this is a chance to really open ourselves to the sacred nature that surrounds us, eventually all around the world. So again, I'll begin in the west, and I'm going to more or less face the directions. And feel free to say along if you like, or you can just say along the closing part, abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu, and you'll get the rhythm of that as we go. May all beings to the west abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. May all beings to the north abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. May all beings to the east abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. May all beings to the south abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. May all beings above abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. May all beings below abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. May each one of us, may I abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. May all the beings nearby abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. May all the beings in our watersheds abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. May all the beings in our bioregions abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. May all the beings on this continent, Turtle Island, abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. May all the beings in the deep and wide Pacific Ocean abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. And may all beings belonging to Earth's beautiful, bountiful, beneficent biosphere abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. Now I'm going to invite you to just settle in a little deeper. Get yourself seated as comfortably as you can. Maybe wiggle and shift a little, stretch until your body can really relax. Let your eyes close gently or just keep your focus soft. Take a couple of nice deep breaths. Just feeling the air, filling your lungs, moving in through your nose, maybe letting it out with a nice big sigh on your next exhale. Let the air move all the way down into your lungs. Let your belly expand with your breath. And just let your breath guide you with its own gentle timing. What will keep you relaxed? And with each inhale, just feel that air nourishing your relaxed body. Feel the way the oxygen enlivens each cell inside you. bringing in a way to unlock the energy of the sun captured in each morsel of food. This incredible gift from all the photosynthesizers. The energy of sunlight, the fire of oxygen to crack it open. Each breath is a gift from all of our plant kin, from the tiny cyanobacteria in the oceans, from the grasses of the Sahel, the steppes, a gift from the trees of Earth's three green hearts, the Amazon rainforest, the Congo rainforest, and Sundaland, the rainforests of Southeast Asia. Every breath might bring you a molecule that was once on the other side of the world, circulating through the biosphere. These incredible gifts from the plant kingdom are one way that Ubuntu is expressed. One way that life is a product of interdependence. One way that we experience interbeing with so much of Earth's amazing biosphere. All the world in a simple breath. So thank the trees, the grasses, the flowers, all the living green things of Earth for providing us with the oxygen we need to breathe in, and for receiving the gift of the carbon that we exhale. Taking that gift and building their own bodies. Each breath a reciprocal blessing, a sharing. What a wonder that is. Each breath a reflection of the complex creativity and profound love that is a Gaia. Our gratitude, our joy, our awe These connect us with the Gaia, make us part of this amazing dance of life's creativity on Earth. Gaia is in the deep sense of wonder we feel when we catch the scent of pine in the air, when we see a bird flying gracefully overhead, when we hear the crashing waves of a stormy ocean. When we feel the warmth of a friend's hand, when we gaze up into a clear night sky filled with distant stars. We are part of this profound connection and sacred beauty that defines our universe. On your next inhale, invite this sacred joy of a Gaia into the center of your being. Then, as you release your breath, send with it your feelings of humble gratitude to spread out into the world. Inhale wonder and joy. Exhale gratefulness for interconnection. Inhale Gaia. Exhale Ubuntu. Inhale Gaia. Exhale Ubuntu. Now, as you inhale, feel those lines of connection coming into you. Then exhale to spread joy and wonder out into the world. Inhale the embrace of Ubuntu. Exhale the grace and reverence of a Gaia. Inhale Ubuntu. Exhale a Gaia. Inhale Ubuntu. Exhale a Gaia. Just continue to take slow, comfortable breaths at the pace your body tells you to go. Isn't it a wonder to be on this amazing earth, traveling around the sun in a wide ellipse? Our sun travels around the heart of our galaxy. So the Earth and the other planets of our solar system are moving along with our circling sun, forming a beautiful winding helix through space-time. What a journey we're all on together. This lovely spiral dance through the cosmos. In this spiral dance, we're nearing the place in Earth's orbit that marks the midpoint between the equinox and the solstice. At that point, the sun will be over the coastline of Brazil and the Atlantic Ocean. Imagine standing on the beach there, feeling that brilliant midday sun directly overhead. As we stand there in the bright sun, we would cast no shadow except under our feet. Imagine if you could take that shimmering radiance of the sun overhead, draw that into the center of your being, and there in your heart space, transform all of that energy into loving kindness, into Ubuntu and a Gaia. Feel all that energy coming into you and then shining forth from your heart, sending Ubuntu and a Gaia out into the world. Know that you're surrounded by community, that everyone who loves our beautiful and precious planet is somehow there with you. And with you, they are sending these wishes of a Gaia and Ubuntu to all beings all around the world. That together, we're shining forth this amazing light of Ubuntu and a Gaia. Together, we shine Ubuntu and a Gaia across the deep and sparkling immensity of the Atlantic Ocean. Together, we shine a Gaia and Ubuntu across the Amazon rainforest with wishes for healing and resilience and strength, that all beings of the Amazon might abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. That all beings of all the world's oceans abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. That all beings of all rainforests, Earth's three green hearts, abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. Together, we shine Ubuntu in a Gaia to every place on Earth now touched by the light of this mid-season sun. Together, we shine a Gaia and Ubuntu out to touch all of those in the dark of night, all around the world. Together, we shine the light of Ubuntu and a Gaia across the universe from our beautiful little home world. Together, we inhale Ubuntu and exhale a Gaia. Together, we inhale a Gaia and exhale Ubuntu. As we begin to come back into our own unique and special bodies, feel yourself as a connector between the air above you and the earth beneath you. Recognize that our great allies, the trees, make this connection between the worlds of sky and soil even more strongly. Take a moment to thank the trees for showing us how to link heaven and earth together. Thank them for providing us with oxygen to breathe in, and for taking the carbon we release to build their own strong bodies. Thank the trees for this deep expression of loving reciprocity, for Ubuntu between all beings. As you sense into your body, open yourself to joy and wonder of the complex creative being that is you, living on this amazing and beautiful planet, participating in this dance of co-creation we call life on Earth. Feel the life in the tips of your fingers and toes. Feel the life surging up into your hands and feet, into your legs and arms. Filling you at the very core of your being. Through these connections of Ubuntu, every part of you is a reflection of the beauty and grace and creativity of the life on this earth. Every part of you shimmers with the Gaia. Every part of you embraced in Ubuntu. Start to let your body move just a little. Letting your hands and feet, your arms and legs, your hips and shoulders, your spine and head, start to awaken to that Gaia that is always within you. As you come back to where we are, gently opening your eyes, feeling that energy still moving through you, knowing that you can carry that and tap into it whenever you need support, whenever you need joy, whenever you need love. It's all there in you. Thank you for being the amazing being that you are, part of this amazing world. And thank you for all that you do to spread Ubuntu and Gaia into the world. So I want to offer us now a little space for conversation. And I trust that we can be open and respectful. And first, I just want to invite, if there's anything that's particularly present for you right now that you want to share, anything that just came up for you.
I feel sparkle. Full of light. Thank you.
I feel I feel peaceful and very proud that I'm more and more experiencing the connection of things.
There's a light on the wall behind me. I'm trying to figure out what it's reflecting from because the curtain is actually closed from where the light would be coming in.
Yeah, I'm just this time what's coming across for me is I'm particularly tingly inside. I'm not quite sure what that is, but that just seemed to really come into me today. So,
Michelle, your meditations are always a blessing. Thank you.
So another ritual that I wanted to take us into now is a little bit of an exploration of another word that we use as we send out blessings. Is that one of the boys?
Omar.
Hi, Omar. When we send out these blessings, we're sending out an invitation for beings to abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. But abide is kind of a complex and interesting word just by itself. So when we wish for others to abide in Agaya and Ubuntu, partly we're wishing for this long life filled with wonder and joy and loving kindness and connection. If you're abiding in Agaya and Ubuntu, you're living fully into it. But there's another sense of abide that comes up all the time. That's about following the rules, staying in bounds. It's almost a constraint. You abide by the laws. You abide by the regulations. You live within them. You do whatever you're going to do, but there are boundaries. So in a way, when we invite others to abide in Agaya and Ubuntu, we're offering a blessing, but we're also offering a kind and gentle opportunity to learn the rules a little better. And so it's a really dynamic way to relate to people who are difficult because they're doing harm. So when I'm feeling generous and kind, and I try to build that skill, and I notice, like somebody with like a really loud car with a big black cloud of smoke behind it, and I'm just like, oh, that's so gross. I try to stop and I say, okay, so may you abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. So what I'm going to offer us now is a chance to send either a blessing or a little corrective wish of constraint to anyone or anything that we think could benefit from it. It's a way of, kind of casting a spell that would be something that you would be the happy recipient of, but might help in envisioning a world where people understand the rules that life operates within and try to fit themselves within that. So may all the people who produce styrofoam packaging abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. Does anyone else have either as a blessing or a constraint, just what's coming up for you? And we'll just kind of keep going around and toss this back and forth for a while.
I hope that our blessing of our government an abiding and Abaya, and I couldn't.
All right. So, yeah. May the government abide in Gaia and Ubuntu for a change. Good. May those folks who stormed the Capitol really learn to abide in Ubuntu and Gaia.
May all the people who are struggling with the reality of it and who may have supported the last 4 years abide in Gaia and Ubuntu.
And may all those who have very, very seldom mostly feel like they don't want to work together begin to see, well, begin to see all of the positive qualities of working together.
Mm.
May all of the businesses and corporations that affect our earth and our air and our water and our food supply abide in Gaia.
May all the big property owners who have the nerve to put families out on the street in the middle of a pandemic abide much more in Ubuntu and Gaia.
May all the people in the world who see it as a situation with us and them begin to see that we're not all black and white. That we don't all have to be in battle all the time.
Mm. May all the people who go so quickly to anger and violence abide in Gaia and Ubuntu. May all of us who are befoibled and make mistakes abide more and more in Gaia and Ubuntu. May all those who make decisions from a place of greed rather than a place of love begin to abide more in Gaia and Ubuntu.
May all of those who feel totally separate and isolated begin to see it's possible to abide in agape and Ubuntu.
And may all who stand up as water protectors and land defenders all around the world live in the blessings of Gaia and Ubuntu.
May all of us who are learning to live with abiding realize that it is just encompassing love and spirituality and our oneness with all. There, one or two more. May all those who are voiceless be supported and held in a Gaia and Ubuntu.
may all of those who are in pain see what is possible in Agaya and Ubuntu.
And let us close once again with the wish that all beings belonging to Earth's beautiful, bountiful, beneficent biosphere abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. So the next ritual as we begin to draw toward closing is it's a litany, a call and response practice from the work that reconnects, which is the work of Joanna Macy and Molly Brown. And I'm going to share screen so you can see the script. And it's kind of a poem, but as I said, it's call and response. So I'll read the first lines here in the face of growing darkness, and then you'll respond, we journey together. We'll do those 4 lines. I read one, both of you read, say we journey together. And then at the end, we'll all together say simultaneously, in the face of growing darkness, we journey together toward the light. And then there are a couple, 2 more sort of verses of this. So I'll keep that up on the screen. And this is, this again is one of those practices that we find across spiritual traditions from all over the world, because it's a way to really align our awareness together. So as I finish my line, I'm going to sound the bell, and then you can say, we journey together. And then I'll sound the bell twice, and we'll say the last line all together. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Okay. As we search for glimpses of truth,
we journey together.
as we search for signs of possibility,
We journey together.
as we search for heralds of a new era,
We
We journey together.
as we search for sources of hope,
We
We
journey
journey together.
together.
as we
As we
search
search
for
for
glimpses
glimpses
of
of
truth,
truth,
we
we
journey
journey
together
together
toward new
toward new
levels of
levels
meaning.
of meaning.
As we build our world out of chaos,
We
We
journey together.
as we build our world out of shattered illusions of superiority,
We
We
journey
journey together.
as we build our world out of our inadequate institutions,
We journey
journey together.
together.
As we build our world out of our unfair sharing of resources.
We journey
We journey together.
As we build our
Build
world out of
out of
chaos,
chaos.
we
We
journey
journey
together
together
toward a
toward a
new
new era
era of
of
justice.
justice.
As the universe unfolds,
we journey
We journey together.
together.
as the universe unfolds through spontaneous communion,
We
We
journey
journey together.
together.
as the universe unfolds through new levels of meaning,
We
We
journey
journey together.
together.
as the universe unfolds through new forms of life,
We
We
journey
journey together.
together.
as the
As the
universe
universe
unfolds, we
We
journey
journey
together
together.
in
in
Gaia
In Gaia
and
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 Ubuntu.
Ubuntu.
Thank you. So, I want to invite you to find out a little bit more about Nova Sutras and some of the things that we do. And you can learn more on our website. You can also find out about ways to support our work, to help out either financially or by volunteering. But one of the most important things right now is we're trying to widen the circles a little bit. So if you think of others who would appreciate events like this, invite them to join one of the ones that's coming up. We have a lot coming up just this week. I think I mentioned at the beginning of the call, but I'll be doing just the guided meditation portion on Insight Timer tomorrow morning. Then tomorrow evening, we have our learning community called the Leading Deep Change Learning Community, which is a chance to connect and work with people who are trying to bring this kind of earth-based spirituality into the work that they do in the world. So that'll be an ongoing community. We have a morning cohort that started last week. We have the evening cohort that will start tomorrow. You're free to join either or even do both. Then on Thursday, there's meditation for the waning moon. And also every Thursday at 11:30, we have what we call discussions in difficult times, which is just an open session where people come together, we do some check-ins, and then whatever emerges from the group, whatever's really the most on people's hearts and minds that day, that becomes the conversation, and we have about 90 minutes of conversation space. So that's happening every Thursday. A week from this Friday, so just before Valentine's Day, we're doing a special event on equatorial rainforests, Earth's 3 green hearts. And we'll actually have a climate activist named Remy, who's in the Congo, who will hopefully be able to join us live, but is going to send us, hopefully also going to send us a recording just in case, because being in the Congo, you can't always rely on your cell phone connection that much. But we'll get to hear from him, and I'll talk a little bit about some of my work in Southeast Asia and in Congo as part of that, in addition to talking about some of what's going on in the Amazon right now. Our next Octal Celebration, so something similar to this, probably with somewhat different rituals, but again, with certainly with calling the corners and meditation, and then some other little rituals. That's going to be around March 20th. Again, I probably won't do it at the exact time of the equinox because I don't think my husband would appreciate me being on a Zoom call at 2:30 in the morning. So, so we'll find other times and fit around that. But that will be somewhere between March 19th and March 21st, depending on what's going on then. So you can always check the website to get the subscription to our newsletter, read blog articles. There's an events page where you can find registration links and usually direct links to almost every event. Also, if you go to the events page and subscribe, there's a button there to subscribe to weekly event announcements, and then you'll just be getting the direct Zoom links for all the events. You can find some guided meditation recordings there, and mostly that'll be links to what we've got on YouTube. We do have Facebook and Twitter at Nova Sutras, also Instagram, and there are some guided meditation recordings already on Insight Timer, in addition to now I'm doing live sessions on Insight Timer. So that's most of what I had for us today. But just as we close out, I want to again give you a chance if there's something up on your heart and mind right now that you want to share, or some other events that you want to tell us about. This is some space for you to do that.
Just a thank you.
Oh.
Yes, I'm glad. I was looking for something, and it's like I found this. This is what I was looking for. I didn't know what it was exactly, but this is it.
Oh, great. Okay. I realized I should have put on the events list another thing that will be a little bit more this sort of event is once a month I do a thing called reconnection rituals, which is mostly based in that work that reconnects, the coming back to life work of Joanna Macy. I spent a lot of last year in training and workshops, really developing that. And that's the one that I'm doing every month on, I believe it's the second Wednesday, so it might be on the 10th, is reconnection rituals for managing eco grief and anxiety, climate grief, climate anxiety, all of that. So there's, sort of a deliberate opening to process whatever's coming up for you that way in terms of grief or anger or despair or fear. These are real, and we need to work with them. So, but it's not just, and come join this thing so you can feel bad. That we do actually process and then move on, and really, take the time to do rituals that really help us build our own resilience so that we can face what's going on in the world right now.
And when is that again, sweetie?
I have to double check, but I think it's the 10th here. Almost got the events page up. Yes, Wednesday the 10th at 3 o'clock.
Okay. Thank you.
So that's one. There's a registration link, which I can copy and share with you here as well. But then if you don't want to register, and Eventbrite can be a problem sometime. And for this one, I just set up an Eventbrite that it wouldn't let me set a free option. So there's like a minimum donation of $1, but you don't have to, you can just do the join directly, which is right under the button for that.
The Patreon, Omar says if I do the Patreon, then I won't have any issues with Eventbrite. So I think I'm just going to do that because it'll make it simple. And so I like simple.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, they don't talk to each other as far as I know. So
I think it would work.
Okay.
So
Okay,
we'll see.
but yeah, you know, regardless, you should be, if you check your emails, Lisa, I know you're subscribed to the weekly event announcements,
Mhm.
and that's always got the direct Zoom link in there as well, for anything that we're doing on Zoom.
Okay.
So that might be the easiest way to do it. But usually if you can't think of anything else, just go to novasutras.org/events.
That's what I
And
did today.
yeah, and I think what happened there was I made a mistake and put the wrong link on the direct link, but I'm trying to have all of those be the right direct links.
You're doing great.
Under the registration places. So so you can usually find that, because you know, the intention with this is we really want to make it available to everyone. And you know, donations are very welcome. But I know, yeah, Lisa, you guys are supporting me on Patreon, so that's, you know, don't need to double up. Certainly
Except
not.
I want it to work. My patience level is worth it.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's about time to close out. So any last questions, last thoughts? So one of the things we like to do in Nova Sutras, since we're in Zoom space instead of real space, is we try to hold hands. So you just sort of put your hands where they might kind of line up with the person next to you, if you can see somebody next to you, and try to hold hands. And that's our closing circle. So thank you so much for being here. Have a beautiful rest of the cross quarter, and looking forward to seeing you both soon. I know.